Hari Om Sahana Vavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryan Karavavahai Tejasvinavaditamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shantihi. Om Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. So the topic is Kirtan. First we are going to speak a little bit about what is Kirtan. Some ideas, what is Kirtan? Would you like to say?
Transcendental music to connect to God.
Chanting?
Transcendental music. Sounds.
Transcendental music to connect with God. Okay, I like this definition. Chanting Hare Krishna is Kirtan, and nothing else. Everything else is Maya. Okay, I like this. Something else?
Glory of Krishna. Because
to glorify Krishna, yes.
His quality and himself is same. So if we mind.
Yes, to glorify Krishna by chanting his holy names. Yes, correct. Kirtan comes from the word kirti. Kirti means to glorify. Glory. To glorify someone. Okay, something else?
We also have expression of love.
Expression of love. Kirtan is an expression of love. Okay, I like this, yes. Yes, all good things. I will quote Damodar Maharaj, who has a very nice definition of Kirtan. I like it. He's saying Kirtan is the expression of natural, spontaneous love that we already have in the heart towards God, expressed in the discipline of rhythm and music. So we have love which is there, now we need some way to express this love, as we were speaking in the previous times. If you love someone, you will express this love through certain activities. So now we want to express our love to Krishna, and this should be also expressed through certain activities. And one way, one authoritative, bona fide way to express this is Kirtan. So actually, we can think about Kirtan in terms of expression of our love to Krishna. Of course, someone may say, but I don't really feel my love to Krishna in my heart. Or sometimes I feel my love, but sometimes I don't feel. What to do? Then what I'm going to express through my Kirtan? Well, the love is definitely there, but we may not feel it very strongly because of our material contaminations. Then if we don't have spontaneous love towards Krishna, the second best thing, according to Bhagavad Gita, 12th chapter, verse 9, is Ata. If we cannot just focus spontaneously our mind on Krishna, then we have to follow the different rules and regulations according to authority, according to Shastra, and in this way we will develop desire, spontaneous desire to serve Krishna, to love Krishna. So if we don't have spontaneous love, then the second best is we have to try to follow a process, and the process should be bona fide. If we figure out our own process, the result that we want to achieve may not be the same. So we should follow a bona fide process. So if our Kirtan is not an expression of our spontaneous love to Krishna, then at least our Kirtan should be what?
As pure as possible.
Phantasmagory. Speculation, pure speculation. Our Kirtan should be pure as possible. How? By following the bona fide acharyas, bona fide Guru Parampara. So whatever they they set to us that is the proper way to do Kirtan, we should try to follow. And then this will be also very satisfying for Krishna, because this is the way how we express our love. If it's not spontaneous, we express it by following someone who is very dear to Krishna, who already have spontaneous love. By following this person, by doing what he says, then Krishna is also very happy, extremely happy with our activities, with our Kirtan. So we have different kinds of Kirtan. We have glorification of names of Krishna, glorification of pastimes of Krishna, glorification of form of Krishna, Rupa Kirtan, and what else? Maybe one more. Glorification of qualities of Krishna, correct. Guna Kirtan. And out of those, now we are going to speak a little bit more about the Nam Kirtan, because generally this is what we do. But the principle is valid for all kinds of Kirtan, that it should be bona fide. That means when we are giving a class and we are describing the glory of Krishna in one way or the other, pastimes of Krishna or philosophy of Krishna, it should be always bona fide. Bona fide means whatever we heard, we have to repeat it. And this is our qualification, this is our purity. Today in the morning on the class, Padmanabhan Prabhu, he was saying that qualification is don't add anything and don't take out anything from the philosophy. Just whatever you hear from your guru, pass it down to the next generation, next personalities in Guru Parampara. And this is success. It doesn't matter how many people will be converted into Vaishnavism, or how many people immediately will become Vaishnavas, or how many people will become Brahmacharis. Our success is if we spread the message as it is without any change. This is our qualification, our success. And if we do that, definitely with the time Krishna will empower us more and more and more and more. We will become transparent via media of the mercy of Krishna. Many people will be touched by the mercy of Krishna and will be instrument in this. So now my plan is some years ago I happened to be on this seminar of Jayadvaita Maharaj. I think last time when Maharaj did it, you were there in Mayapur, yeah? It was not the full thing, I think. He made a synopsis, or it was the full thing, huh?
I think it was 2 days. Or
2 days, maybe. So it was kind of the full thing. So I was just thinking to read a little bit from this, and we can discuss it. We can, we can comment a little bit on it, and you can also raise up some questions if you like, to get some idea actually what Srila Prabhupada, as our founder of Charya, what was his value system and what was his standard for Kirtan. I think it's important. Just 1 second. Okay. So, first, there is discussion about the morning tune that we all know. Srila Prabhupada was very strict in the melody sung during the Mangal Aratik. He wanted the morning melody and nothing else. He would sometimes stop Kirtans if other melodies were sung in the morning. Of course, he was not always doing that, but when he was nearby and there was someone to appreciate the point, he would correct the mistake. Harikesha Swami is relating. We were chanting Mangal Aratika within the room of Srila Prabhupada each morning. Sometimes Prabhupada would appreciate the singing and sometimes not. Later on, in the morning after a particularly bad kirtan, Prabhupada called me into his room and complained about the singing. He said, again, more or less. I did not like the singing in the morning. The morning melody must be sung throughout the Mangal Aratik, and no other melody should be sung. It should be sung sweetly and melodiously, like this. And he proceeded to sing the first verse of the Samsara prayer in a very sweet and melodious voice, with perfect inflection and musical assent. Prabhupada was very insistent that the singing should be done in that way only. He indicated that he wanted me to lead the Kirtans in the morning as a way to establish the standards within the temple. Again, Harikesha Swami saying this. So then we had the Srila Prabhupada's recorded instruction. This is the morning tune. So basically, all of us, we know the morning melody. Yeah, Alex, you know? You know? It's the same melody with which we sing Samsara. And then Hare Krishna should go on with the same melody. Samsara dava nalalida loka, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So this is actually the raga. This is the raga for this time. That's why this is the melody for Mangalartik time. And yeah, sometimes devotees, they sing also another melody.
Yeah, I was going to ask about the second version.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Well, I asked Jadvaita Maharaj, and Maharaj, the giver of this seminar, he told me, we never heard Srila Prabhupada to sing this melody. That's why he told me, my personal opinion is we shouldn't sing it. Why sing something that Srila Prabhupada never sang? However, if you go in Mayapur, in Vrindavan, this is kind of a standard, because as far as I understand and I know, it's part of this raga. It's using the same tones, so it's the same raga, so that's why it's one of the melodies. Some years ago when I was taking lessons from Pankaj Prabhu in Mayapur, maybe you know him.
Okay.
So he was teaching me the morning raga, and that was one of the parts of the melody. And the next part is Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So that's why generally devotees, they go through these melodies. However, the point of Jadvaita Maharaj was why sing it? So I guess at least those who are disciples or grand disciples of Jadvaita Maharaj, they should try to avoid this. For the rest one, it's up to your choice to do it or not. This is what I know about this. About Jaya Radhe. Jaya Radhe, Jaya Radhe. Next morning, I led the Kirtan in his room, duplicating the melodious style which he had shown me the day before for the morning tune. Prabhupada was pleased and seemed to enjoy the Kirtan. Unfortunately, I fell victim to that demon within the mind and started to speculate a couple of Jaya Radhes at the end of the Kirtan. This was one of the bigger mistakes made by me at that time. Although there is nothing wrong with Jaya Radhe, Prabhupada simply didn't want us to chant it. He once explained that Shukadeva Goswami did not feel himself qualified to chant the name of Radha in the Srimad Bhagavatam, and therefore only indicated her name with the words Aradhana while describing the topmost gopi friend of Krishna. Anyway, to continue the story, I had just started to chant Srimati Radharani's holy name within Vrindavan Dham, her beloved Lord's abode, within the presence of her most intimate devotee, during the most auspicious hour of the day, when her most intimate devotee looked at me with eyes blazing like fire and desirous of initiating my immediate destruction. Voice choked and gaggling, I ended the Kirtan immediately without further formalities, never again to make the same mistake. Prabhupada never ended Kirtans with various extra mantras, especially not Jaya Radhe. So why should I? Again, Hari Kesha Swami is saying this. Also there is additional thing. Srila Prabhupada didn't chant it, and his response when people on his morning walk in Vrindavan greeted him with Jaya Radhe was Hare Krishna. Oh, Prabhupada never was saying Jaya Radhe, he was always saying Hare Krishna. Also there is another thing quoted one time. Devotees were saying a lot of Haribo, 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 Haribo. And then Srila Prabhupada commented, he said, let them chant their Haribo, and then I will chant Hare Krishna and go back to Godhead. Why? Because this is what is established by Guru Parampara. Again, the same principle. If we chant what is established by the Acharya, then it's bona fide. If we chant something that we think is bona fide, then the result is not sure. We may go back to the spiritual world, but we may not go also. We don't know. It's not certain, it's not sure. So this is about Jaya Radhe. Some questions or doubts? Yes.
The difference between Haribol and Hare Krishna, why not say it? I mean, it's the same energy and same power.
Because there are unauthorized sampradayas in India that they chant Haribo, 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 Haribo. So Srila Prabhupada wanted to make the point that we are different from all these apasampradayas. Srila Prabhupada particularly established very clear standards for everything in ISKCON, including Kirtan, so that we are different from others. We do the things in a different way. Even in the beginning, devotees, they were, I don't know if you know that, they were chanting Bhaja Shri Krishna Chaitanya. They were not singing Jaya Shri Krishna, Bhaja Shri Krishna Chaitanya. But then some other sampradaya, they were also chanting this. And Srila Prabhupada said, then we'll change it. We should be different from them. So he said,
Bhaja Shri Krishna.
Huh?
Prabhupada also chanted at first, I think.
Yeah, Bhaja Shri Krishna Chaitanya.
Bhaja Shri Krishna.
Then he changed it to Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya, just so that we are different. People know we are different. So I guess that's one main point. There is nothing wrong to say Haribo, 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 or to sing a few times Haribo. But generally, Srila Prabhupada wanted to show that ISKCON devotees are different. And they follow what their acharyas are saying. So he established particular things. Like sometimes at the end of the Kirtan we chant Nitai Gaura Haribo, Haribo. It's not that we are going to go to hell, but also it is not that the whole Kirtan should become Haribo Kirtan. No, we are the Hare Krishna movement, so we should be Hare Krishna Kirtan. So we are basically about, especially about the name of Srimati Radharani. Many times Srila Prabhupada is explaining that this is something very, very intimate. So you don't show off the most intimate things from your life or your spiritual teachings to anybody and everybody. It's something very intimate. So we don't just sing everywhere these things. Okay. Maharaj is saying, very often the deities' names are sang at the end of the Kirtan. Now it became obligatory that at the end of every Kirtana this should be sung. They even sometimes appear in the middle of the Mangalarati after Gurvashtakam, and sometimes after Narasimha Arati or Tulasi Puja or Jaya Radha Madhava in Bhagavatam class. Srila Prabhupada didn't chant them, and they sometimes lead to Jaya Radhe, Jaya Radhe. So mantras that we can hear very often, Jaya Radhe something, Jaya Radhe something, Radhe. This was not chanted by Srila Prabhupada. Or Radha Radha something something. Jaya Radha, Radha Krishna, Radha Radha Krishna, Radhe. Jaya Radha Radha Krishna Radha Radha Krishna Radha. I guess something like that. Jaya Radha Jagannatha Radha Jagannatha Radhe. Have you heard this one? Jai Nitai Gaura Hari Gaura Hari. Or Jai Nitai Sachi Sutta Sachi Sutta. It doesn't, Maharaj is saying, it doesn't matter what we sing, just it should fit the meter. Also, I remember when I was on one of these workshops of Maharaj, he was saying that one time in one temple he heard Jaya Shalagram Shila Sharaglam So basically the idea is that it's not wrong if devotees sing these things, but it's not necessary. And Maharaj is making the point that very often this becomes a standard nowadays. And if you don't do it, devotees, they start looking you strange. Why you didn't glorify the deities? Or why did you glorify this and you missed this one? You are partial or like what's your problem? Now we have to glorify everybody. We have 16 deities on the altar. Now we just go glorify each one of them.
Who is this Maharaj?
Jayadvaita Maharaj. He's called Jayadvaita Maharaj. Some years ago he did this Kirtan reform seminar, tried to explain what were the standards of Srila Prabhupada for Kirtan. So we are just going through this. The topic is Kirtan. So basically it becomes very speculative because, okay, now I glorify Gornitai, so shall glorify now maybe the Radha Krishna deities, because otherwise I cannot just glorify Gornitai. What about Jagannath Baladev Subhadra Devi? What about Ramachandra? And what about Govardhan then? And what about Guru Parampara? So, because you don't follow, and then your mind starts giving you many different ideas and you don't know what to do. Shall I do this? Shall I do that? So it's a little bit tricky. So if someone do it, he is not a demon, but if someone does not do it, also he should not be considered as a demon. Rather, Srila Prabhupada never did it, so it's not required. One devotee said, so Maharaj, if we want to glorify personally the deities, isn't this like very personal way to glorify, like Jaya Radha Govinda Radha Govinda Radha? Maharaj answered, so what did we learn from Srila Prabhupada? What is the best way to glorify the deities? What do you think? Correct. It's not required. Hare Krishna is enough. Srila Prabhupada never did it. He was chanting Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya and Hare Krishna, that's it. And sometimes he was chanting the Mangala Charana, because this is the bona fide way to come to the chanting, or as we are doing it, chant the Pranam Mantra of Srila Prabhupada, because he is our connection with Guru Parampara. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya, Hare Krishna, that's it. If sometimes you make Kirtan Hare Krishna and you stop the Kirtan with Hare Krishna, you won't go to hell. Means we should know this for ourselves. We may fall whenever like some devotees are doing, especially senior devotees if are doing, no problem. But for ourselves we should know that if I just start chanting Hare Krishna and I finish with Hare Krishna, that's totally fine. There is nothing wrong with this. I'm not deviating from the Sampradaya teachings or something like that. Haraya Nama Krishna Yadavaya Namaha Yadavaya Madhavaya Keshavaya Namaha Gopal Govindaram Shimadusudan Giridhari Gopinath Madan Mohan. You know this one? Do you know when we have to sing it? Have you heard?
We can sing it in the morning, after Mangala.
In the morning after Mangala. Yeah. So let's read what Srila Prabhupada is saying about this. First, what Maharaj is saying about this. This comes from a bona fide song by Srila Narottam Das Thakur. But why have these verses become customary to chant at the end of Kirtan? I speculate that it is because devotees have heard that Srila Prabhupada asked us to. So, I bring to your attention Srila Prabhupada's actual request. We are already accustomed to chant these two mantras, Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasti Gaura Bhakta Vrinda, and Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare. Now, after this, the other two lines, namely Haraya Nama Krishna Yadavaya Namaha, Gopal Govinda Ram Shimadhusudan, should be added, especially in Mayapur. Other places may not, but especially in Mayapur, Srila Prabhupada said they should be added. Chanting of these 6 lines should go on so perfectly well that no one there hears any other vibration than the chanting of the holy names of the Lord. That will make the center spiritually all perfect. So this is the instruction. So Srila Prabhupada does not request for the verse, he requests for only these 2 lines. Do you know why exactly these 2 lines? Do you remember or no?
No.
These 2 lines because Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was singing these 2 lines. This is what Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was singing. It's described in Chaitanya Charitamrita. And actually there in the purport Srila Prabhupada gives this. It's coming from purport in Chaitanya Charitamrita. Chaitanya Charitamrita Adi 1724 purport.
Is it Hari Harayan or is it Harayan?
Haraya Nama Krishna Yadavaya Namaha.
Correct. I hear Hari Harayan sometimes.
Yes.
Incorrect.
Haraya Nama Krishna Yadavaya Namaha Gopal Govindaram Shimadhusudan. This is what Mahaprabhu was singing. Is described from Krishna Das Kaviraj Goswami Chaitanya Charitamrita. That's why Srila Prabhupada is saying this is what we can sing because it's given from authority. Now, what about these 4 lines? Well, this is a song Narottam Das Thakur wrote on the basis of what Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was singing. So we could say he's like expanding what Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was singing. And of course, because it's coming from Acharya, it's totally bona fide and we can sing it. Just the point of Maharaj is, it's not what Srila Prabhupada told us to sing during aratis. You can sit down with the harmonium and sing this song or the whole song in front of the deities. There is nothing wrong with it. But it's not what Srila Prabhupada said during aratis. During aratis, especially in Mayapur, he said these 2 lines. And then you can see like the devotees who are from Mayapur or devotees who lived long time in Mayapur, they know actually what is the standard, and you hear them sing it exactly in this way. Only these 2 lines in this way. Haraya Nama Krishna Yadavaya Namaha Gopal Govindaram Shimadhusudan. That's it. So this is something also interesting. Again, if we hear some senior devotee singing the whole stanza 4 lines or even more of the stanzas in this song, it's not offense, he will not go to hell. But just for us, it's good that we know what is the standard, and when we have to lead, we can lead with the proper standard, what Srila Prabhupada wanted us to do. Okay, so now, as mentioned twice in Chaitanya Charitamrita, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu personally chanted these 2 lines. 2 lines, not 4. The song by Narottam Das Thakur, bona fide though it be, is not what Srila Prabhupada asks us to chant at the end of Kirtan. Now, Gurvashtakam. Why chant Jaya Prabhupada in the middle? What means the middle? When we chant Jaya Prabhupada.
After 8 lines.
Correct. In the middle of the Aratik. After we sing the 8 lines, Gurvashtakam, the song itself, then generally devotees sing Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 and then they continue singing Namo Vishnu Padaya and so on. So Maharaj is saying, why chant Jaya Prabhupada in the middle? Is this the Prabhupada song? So Gurvashtakam, is it especially for Prabhupada or no?
Guru.
It's for Guru, yes, it's for all Gurus. That's why Maharaj is saying, why Jaya Prabhupada? Guru Puja is our daily worship of especially Srila Prabhupada, the personality of Srila Prabhupada. This is when we express only about Srila Prabhupada. Means when we sing the song we can meditate on our Gurus also, but this is how Prabhupada established. Guru Puja is for worship of Prabhupada. And Gurvashtakam is the worship of all Gurus, the whole Guru Parampara, including our personal Guru. That's why Maharaj is making the point. Why chanting Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada?
So after the Guru Ashtakam, usually the Srila Prabhupada's pranam mantra is sung. I was hearing that some devotees were saying that only Prabhupada disciples should be able to sing that, and then other, grand disciples, they could either sing their guru's pranam mantra or something, or not sing anything.
Mm-hmm.
Have you heard this discussion? And what is the conclusion of it?
I don't dare to comment on this. I think it's beyond my... I heard some things, but I'm not sure. Just what I heard, and I kind of know that it makes sense, is that some senior devotees, they are saying that it's better that you say the pranam mantra in the beginning and then start singing the song. And we can see some senior devotees and disciples of Prabhupada, they do it in this way. First they chant the mantra, then they sing the prayer, and then they just continue with Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya, Hare Krishna. I cannot say why exactly they are doing it, what's the logic. We can ask some senior devotees for explanation. But I heard something similar like this from Jadvaita Maharaj also, to comment on this point. And it makes logic. Because generally what we do, we always do it through Guru. So generally always first we approach the Guru and then we do everything else. But like when we sing Guru Puja, again we follow the same logic. Somehow it is like that. But I'm not sure. We can ask someone. Maybe we can ask Chandrasekhar Maharaj what he will say about this. Narasimha Kirtan, why chant Jaya Bhakta Pralat? Do you ever heard about Bhakta Haridas Thakur or Bhakta Rupa Goswami? Then why Bhakta Pralat? The logic here is that generally Jadvaita Maharaj, he was quoting some purport of Srila Prabhupada where he explains that if someone is neophyte on the spiritual path, generally we address him with Bhakta. Like we say Bhakta Alex, Bhakta this, Bhakta that. So then when he becomes initiated, he becomes this and this Das or Devi Dasi. And then when he becomes even more elevated, more advanced, we address him with Maharaj. So the point of Jayadvaita Maharaj is why Bhakta Pralat should be Pralat Maharaj. That's why he's quoting this, yes.
I have a question, it's a little off topic, but I believe I heard in one lecture a while ago, Prabhupada said you shouldn't call him Prabhu unless he's initiated. Have you heard this? That if someone's not initiated, they should just be called Bhakta, not Prabhu.
I didn't heard it, but it makes sense from the perspective of Vaishnava etiquette. From the perspective of Vaishnava philosophy, everyone is Prabhu. So it's not wrong. It's not wrong to say to someone Prabhu. But generally, according to Vaishnava etiquette, yes, if someone is not initiated, generally you will tell him, Bhakta this and this, please can you do this and this. If someone is initiated, then you will address him with Stoka Krishna Das Prabhu. Generally, this is the etiquette. But it's not wrong if you say even to some devotee who came yesterday in the temple, if you address him with Prabhu, it's not wrong. But I guess Srila Prabhupada, he's just explaining the etiquette, that's why he's putting the things in this perspective. Okay. For Tulasi Arati, when we are saying the pranam mantra, it is Vrindai Tulasi Devyai. Yes. Some devotees are saying Vrinda Tulasi Devi Prekeshava Secha. It's Vrindai Tulasi Devyai. Vrindai Tulasi Devyai.
What does Devya mean?
It's again like godly, but just this is how is the mantra. So that's why we repeat it in this way. Sometimes devotees, they ask, shall we chant Vishnu Bhakti Prade Devi or Krishna Bhakti Prade Devi? Both is okay. They asked Srila Prabhupada, he said both is okay. Some devotees say Vishnu Bhakti, some are saying Krishna Bhakti. Both is okay. So also Maharaj is few more things he's saying about Tulasi Pranama. Ei Nivedana Dara Sakiranugata Koro. Some devotees are saying Ei Nivedana. Nivedana, or some are saying Ei Nivedana Daro, which it may be okay for the Bengalis, but generally say Ei Nivedana Dara. Sakiranugata Koro. And then when we are saying during Premadvani, when we are saying at some point Jaya Tulasi Devi, Jaya Bhakti Devi, sometimes devotees, they say, sometimes devotees, they think that this is the same person, but actually they are two different personalities. Tulasi Devi is Tulasi Devi. Bhakti Devi is? Huh?
Bhakti Devi.
Who is Bhakti Devi?
Bhakti means devotion.
Huh? Of course, Radharani. Bhakti Devi. Or Srimati Radharani. So it's two different personalities. Generally, Vrinda Devi is known as Bhakti Pradaini Devi. Personality which is so powerful, she can give you bhakti. But the bhakti itself, the personification of bhakti is Srimati Radharani. That's why these are two different personalities. Jaya everything without regards for sense or order. And this is another place to recite all the deity names as if they weren't already included in the beginning. Srila Prabhupada never did this. Why A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami? Srila Prabhupada. A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami? Srila Prabhupada. This is what we say, yes? Yeah? Generally it should be A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Like it's on the books. This is what Srila Prabhupada said should be written on the books. But generally by habit or something, all of us we are saying Jam Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivrajacharya A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Is it?
Shila also means something.
Shila means, it's also Shri, means like Shri Shrimat. It's a title for great personality. Anyway, this is maybe too small details, but Maharaj is saying about all these things. So then Maharaj is speaking little about what kind of melody Srila Prabhupada preferred to to listen. Any tune can be used when it is in relationship with Krishna. That makes it bona fide. This is letter of Srila Prabhupada to Ekayani. Regarding the presentation of Govindam as well as other mantras, the vibration is always pure. I will give the theme, and if the sound is westernized, that does not matter. But another point is that this specific sound of Krishna, as I think, is also another introduction of art that can be intermingled with Western art, and such combination will certainly be appreciated. But so far I know that the Kirtana tune is a specific representation of Gaudiya Vaishnavas, and this tune is appreciated all over India as unique. They say that the Kirtana tune is the specific gift of Bengal, and that is a fact. So why not utilize this tune in the Western countries under the able guidance of such expert musicians as George Harrison. So we can use all kinds of melodies, Western melodies, African melodies, Iceland melodies, whatever, all kinds of melodies we can use to chant Hare Krishna. It's always bona fide because we sing Hare Krishna with this melody. However, Srila Prabhupada is saying that in the Bengali tunes there is some special beauty, and those of us who had the fortune to spend a little bit time in the Dham and be there on the big abhisheks and big festivals, they see there is a special sweetness in these melodies. So those of us who are good musicians, expert musicians, looks like it will be very appreciated by Srila Prabhupada if we learn some of those authentic melodies and present this culture, this tradition, and even keep it for the future generations by learning these melodies. Know that always we should sing only ragas and nothing else, otherwise, again, we'll go to hell. But for certain occasions, these melodies, they give very special, very unique sweetness, very, very unique, especially like for abhisheks, for this kind of festivals, like such a... immediately you start feeling like love in your heart, especially when the leading singer is very pure and he's really doing it for the pleasure of Krishna. Creates amazing atmosphere. So some of my best experiences about Kirtans were in Mayapur during like Pushpa Abhishek or Gaur Purnima, this place, like very special. Also, Srila Prabhupada said, no clanging and banging.
Too much noisy, I guess?
Srila Prabhupada gave many times this instruction, mostly to leaders, but on occasion to groups of devotees. He withheld this instruction from general assemblies, my understanding being that he did not want to discourage devotees from chanting, even when the chanting was not properly done. This instruction, I have noted, is one of Srila Prabhupada's pet peeves. What is peeves?
I mean, it's like something you just gets on your nerves a little bit.
Uh-huh. Okay. One of the things that annoyed him, the most of all the ways that Kirtan was being done. We had a Kirtan at the Ram Leela grounds, 1976 March, and Dinanath was leading, and tens of thousands were attending and chanting. After the program, Srila Prabhupada and I were alone in the back tent, waiting for his servant and the car. As you know, he would often ask rhetorical questions, and he asked me, "So, what did you think of the Kirtan?" Understanding this was just a lead in to his giving me an instruction, I answered it a blank. It was okay. Srila Prabhupada's definition to me then was as follows. No, it was not nice. It was clanging and banging. Kirtan should be sweet and melodious. "Come, let us go to the ashram and have kirtan." So Srila Prabhupada said to this devotee, "Let us go to the ashram and have kirtan." And so we went, Srila Prabhupada, his servant Bharadvaj, and myself. Except his servant, the three of us sat. Except his servant, the three of us sat in his room, and Bharadvaj played harmonium on the request of Srila Prabhupada, and we had a long kirtan. Of course, exactly the opposite of your 10 commandments. On Srila Prabhupada's signal, the kirtan ended. He looked at me smiling, a little shaking his head, and said, "So sweet and melodious." And then he moved on with the rest of preaching and hearing. I had heard him say and heard that he also said, sometimes stopping kirtan and saying, "No screaming, no shouting." So kirtan is not clanging and banging, screaming and shouting. Kirtan is sweet and melodious, the beautiful sound to glorify the Supreme Personality of Godhead. If a small ray of the beauty of that song would enter the heart, then one would be so overflooded with love of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Shri Krishna, that one could only sing his holy names and the name of his divine consort with sweetness and melodiousness. This is related by Tejas Das. So you're basically, kirtan should be not clanging and banging, should be melodious for the pleasure of Krishna. Of course, nowadays we already have a culture of Krishna, which is ISKCON culture of kirtan, which is even ISKCON culture of kirtan. It's not the traditional one from India, and sometimes kirtan can become different. It can be a little rocky, it can be jumping and this and that, but still the sweetness can be maintained. The sweetness of the kirtan can be maintained. Kirtan can be extremely energetic, very fiery, and still the sweetness can be maintained. So the main point is kirtan should always stay the focus, the center of everything, the chanting of the holy name. And everything else is like a very nice arrangements around this chanting of the holy name. The mridanga playing, the kartals, the harmonium, everything else is just accompaniment to the main thing, which is the chanting of the Hare Krishna. That's why it's very helpful when the musicians are very expert, because they know how to find this balance. They know when to beat strongly to support the chanting of the holy name, when to play very softly. They have this experience, and those who are taking part in the kirtan, they can feel this. It helps for the experience in the kirtan. Okay, so more or less that's it. Of course, this is a big topic and many things can be said. And again, the main thing is the kirtan should be bona fide. And bona fide means let's try to do it in a way that we will give pleasure and satisfy to the person who asks us to make the kirtan. Srila Prabhupada as our founder acharya, and of course his representatives. For example, some spiritual master comes or senior devotee and tell us, lead kirtan. Of course, we will do it according to our personality, but let's do it in a way that it's pleasing for them. If we know how we can please them exactly, let's do it in this way, and try not to get in a confrontation with the also desire of Srila Prabhupada, standards of Srila Prabhupada, so that it's pleasurable for Krishna, for Srimati Radharani, for Srila Prabhupada. Thank you very much. If you have some questions or comment.
I just said, like, the kirtan, I also heard from the standards, we should have some like dynamics, like the kirtan leader should be like the most, or we can hear it like the most of the sound of the holy name when he's singing. Then half of the dynamics should be like mridanga of volume, and half of the volume should be like kartals, and this should be like maintained all the kirtan.
Okay.
Not like
From who you heard this? Do you remember?
I think it was also from the Jayadvaita.
From the seminar. It makes sense, yes. It looks like what Jadvaita Maharaj would say. Yeah, I guess so. Of course, again, it depends also on the leader a little bit. Like, for example, Ram Roy Prabhu, he likes the Karatas to be very strong, very loud. This is very loud for me. But whenever he says play stronger, I just play because this is how he wants it. Some other personalities opposite. I was playing with some other devotees, and I think that I myself play quite very soft Karatas. These devotees, they were looking at me and they were telling me more soft. So this is more about the culture that, okay, you try to follow the desire of the devotee and try to satisfy them. But of course, generally we should try not to get in conflict with the instructions of founder of Charya. Yes. So knowing this. And of course, the holy name should be always heard the most, because this is the most important thing. The whole idea of Kirtan is that the holy names are chanted loudly. Yes. Sometimes there is a Kirtan, the leader is singing very nicely, and the Mridanga is playing very nicely, and the Karatas are playing very nicely, but nobody is repeating after the leader. So that means something is wrong. Kirtan means someone is singing the mantra, and then devotees are listening very carefully what he's singing, with which melody. Then they're trying to sing the mantra with the same melody. And then he's hearing how they are chanting. So that's the idea of Kirtan. Yeah.
So, thank you for the lecture. It's very nice. I thought I came late, I'm sorry. I was also listening to one of these lectures from Mahatma Prabhu. So he was talking about how we should be leading the Kirtan. When the leader is leading, the spotlight is on him, so he has to be very careful. What kind of melody, what kind of singing he should be in, what kind of mood he should be in. And it's never for the pleasure of himself. It's always for the pleasure of
Krishna.
And in the same regard, when we are in front of the altar, we think that we are taking darshan of the deities, but actually the deities are taking darshan of us. So in that same thing, when we are singing in front of the deities, we should try to focus on how they are feeling the pleasure of the kirtan, how they are happy when they are listening, and also at the same time through the ears of the devotees.
Okay, very nice point. Yes, very, very important point. Again, we are coming to the same thing, the mood. What is the mood with which you are doing Kirtan? It should be for the pleasure of Krishna, not for our pleasure. Of course, sometimes there is mixed motifs. Okay, let me show my last melody that I learned. But again, the idea should be, no, let's do it for the pleasure of Krishna and for the pleasure of the devotees. One time Kadamba Kanna Maharaj was giving a seminar in Mayapur, and he said something very interesting. Sometimes devotees, they come to me and they ask me, Maharaj, please can you tell me how you're making this very enlightened, very energetic kirtans? Like, what is your secret? What is the secret weapon? And Maharaj said, oh, it's very, very easy. The answer is very simple. The difference between me and you is that you play on a harmonium. I don't play on a harmonium. I play on the people. I make kirtan with the people, not with the harmonium. You got it? So basically, the most important thing is to keep the connection with the devotees and make them chant enthusiastically and loudly Hare Krishna. And this makes the kirtan. And then, okay, the nice playing on a harmonium, nice playing of the mridanga, all this will support this. But the most important thing is connection with the people. So when we make kirtan, we should try to connect with the people. If there is 10 devotees around us, we should try to make them enthusiastic to sing with us. Not, of course, we can close our eyes in the beginning especially, but also some connection should be there with the devotees. Then it will be Sankirtan, then it will be together, then it will be very powerful.
It doesn't have to be specific, like Indian type beats, it can be any beat, right?
It can be any tune, yes, but certain authentic tunes, they have a special sweetness.
Because I heard from somewhere that even Prabhupada quite didn't like Western tunes that much. He preferred mostly.
He didn't like playing with harmonies. Why? Because harmonies, they are very powerful. They immediately attract your attention to go in this direction. So you start listening the harmonies. You don't listen so much the melody or the chanting of the name.
Yeah.
So that's why he was saying that generally he likes devotees to play with notes, not so much with harmonies. One time I was leading a kirtan and I thought I'm doing a good job. And then next time Jayadvaita Maharaj caught me and he gave me a sauce. He said, so first, why you are playing with chords? Srila Prabhupada said, better to play with notes. He said, Maharaj, I'm not good on a harmonium, that's why. He said, no problem, you'll learn. Just practice. And then I was playing a melody for maybe 20 minutes, but the melody had few parts, so I changed them like every 5 minutes. And he said, yesterday this melody that you were singing, it was so nice. I really enjoyed this melody. And suddenly you change it. And after 5 minutes you change it again. I became so angry at you. I was, oh my God. What did I do? I was sorry, Maharaj. So, yeah. Both is good. Like we had for some time some musical kirtan project in my country, because we were going often to sing in yoga places, and we had all these Western melodies, and they are very powerful. They catch somehow people very easy, because they are very easy to sing. They're generally very simple melodies, so it's very easy to catch them. So for the people, it's easy to sing. So they were very powerful for this purpose, but they don't have the special sweetness of these authentic melodies from Vrindavan, from Mayapur. So I would say we can have both in our repertoire and then use according to the situation. Sometimes, for example, if devotees ask us to lead on Abhishek, just sing something very nice, very devotional. But then if we are in a yoga studio and have to make everybody jump and dance, just sing something very simple so that everybody can sing the holy name. That's the most important thing.
I got like a question. And when you are on the Harinam, like outside, there is like a Harinam tunes of melodies. They are quite simple and easy to like repeat.
Kind of Western ones, yes.
Yeah. I heard there is called like Panjagaragas or something like I don't know. My question is like, so we should sing it like simply, not like...
Yeah, generally the Harinam melodies, that's my opinion. Of course, my opinion is not absolute. Other devotees may give other opinions. My opinion is that Harinam melodies, they should be very simple, so that people, they can take part in the kirtan. And generally, they should be jolly melodies. Like you have minor melodies and major melodies. Major melodies are better because immediately they create very festive mood. And people appreciate this, they like it, because they have enough sorrowness in their life already. So if they see some guys dressed in a strange way on the street, crying, immediately like they're saying, okay, I have enough of that one. Okay, let me just go and find something funny and joyful. And so generally, like we can see some of the very good Harinam Kirtaniers that we have in our past and our present also in ISKCON. Generally, this is the melodies that they are singing here, like the Harinam Ruchi. All their melodies are same style. And this is more or less the style that Shri Prahlad started. If you listen to Shri Prahlad, all his melodies are the same style. Hare Krishna, hey! Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram. Very like immediately they make you like start moving and dancing and yoo-hoo, party, okay. So it kind of makes easy for the people to join, because they see, oh, some festival, something is going on. Okay, let me join, let me dance a little bit. Easy to engage the people. I have been to other Harinams, very advanced devotees, and they were singing with lots of devotion, and I could feel this. But the melodies were quite meditative, I would say, and it was more difficult for the people to appreciate. People were stopping, they were watching, but they were watching more like of, okay, looks like this is some kind of religious ritual that is going on. Somehow they had this feeling. It was a little bit more difficult to get in contact with them. But this is my personal opinion. Of course, Hare Krishna Mahamantra is absolute. No matter with which melody you sing it, in a what manner, with what kind of instruments, the people who hear this, they will be 100% spiritually benefited. So the benefit of Hare Krishna Mahamantra transcends all these conditions. But just for the sake of making it easier for the people, maybe makes sense to these kind of melodies. Yes?
Oh, I just had, I guess, a comment. I don't know if anybody really knows or if it's just speculation. But I heard in, the book, The Glorious Life of Narottam Das Thakur. I think he would also, of course he would make many of the Vaishnava songs, but he would also make tunes also. So I was wondering if some of the authorized tunes that we have are also from the Acharyas, because he would also make some tunes. So we have tunes in Vrindavan and Mayapur, so I don't know if you've heard anything, if these are actually from our Acharyas also.
I heard about the style of playing Mridanga. One of the styles is coming from Narottam. Generally what I think Bablu Prabhu, he's teaching, I think he's from this line. About the melodies, I would think so, that if you go and learn from a bona fide people from Mayapur or Bangladesh, definitely they will give you some of those melodies that are kept like many, many, many generations. I won't be surprised that they say that it's coming from the time of Narottam Das Thakur. But where to go, who to approach, I'm not sure about this. We have few very nice Kirtanias in Mayapur. I think one devotee was he was the leader of the Sankirtan. How you say? English word came up. He was taking care for all the Sankirtan devotees. Very senior brahmachari. He has many, many songs recorded in Mayapur. I think his name was Jaya Sachinandana or something like that. So I guess like this kind of devotees, they can tell you what to do, where to go. Also Kamal Gopal Prabhu, who studied professional music for many years, they know something about these things. Thank you very much, dear devotees. Shri Prabhupada ki jai, Samaveta Bhakta Vrinda ki jai, Nitai Gaura Premanande, Hari Hari Bol.